Hey guys, welcome to Home Sweet Homeschool. If you're new here, my name is Ashley and I'm a homeschooling mom to one, and I'm so excited about today's video. I'm super excited because I'm participating in an open collab, and it is hosted by two of my favorite homeschool moms to watch here on YouTube, Jessica from the Waldock Way and Abby from Rooted in Rest. And I'm like totally fangirling and geeking out because I get to join a collab that they're hosting. And it may sound nerdy, but I'm super excited about it. So, now that I'm kind of over the geeking out phase, let me explain to you what it is. This collaboration is called Show and Tell. It's a year-long collaboration, and it's open, meaning anybody that has a video that pertains to whatever the topic is, you can add your video to the playlist, and Jessica and Abby are going to watch your video, and they're going to engage in your video, and so will the other mamas, and it will get out to so many homeschool mamas, and we'll be able to help so many people. And that's what's so exciting to me. I just want to help others. So this Show and Tell collab, like I said, is open. I'll leave the information below so you can know the info for how to participate if you want to participate. But it's going to go for a whole year. Each month's going to be a different topic, and this month is all about planning. And I love homeschool planning, and I want to show you how I handle homeschool planning. So surely by now you all have your curriculum or you're making those final choices. We use Gather Around Homeschool, but what I'm going to show you today could work for any curriculum. So don't click off just because you don't use the same curriculum that I do. This could work for anybody. So first thing I want to show you is how I gather up all my stuff, and then I'm going to show you how I use Google Classroom, which is something I use to plan for the 6 weeks. We do 6 weeks on, 1 week off. And I go ahead and at the beginning of the unit, I go ahead and set up my Google Classroom. So I'm going to show you what that looks like. And then I'm going to show you how I do things weekly, where I take the teacher's guide and make some notes in the teacher's guide for myself. And then I'll show you what I do daily using my planner from the One Stop Planner Shop. So let's get into this. So obviously you've got your curriculum and you're like, okay, what do I do next? So I just gather up all my stuff and then I start the planning process. So what it looks like for me is I will grab our main unit. So we're doing the human body right now. That's going to change. That changes every 6 weeks, but I'll grab that unit. I also grab our mini unit. I'm sorry for the glare. I am in front of a window. So I'll grab both of the units. These are the teacher's guides. I also grab my son's notebook that goes with both of those units. I like to go ahead and grab our read aloud, and I like to grab whatever Tuttle Twins book we're using for this 6 weeks. I'll go ahead and grab those. I grab my planner that I created using the One Stop Planner Shop. I have a flip through this if you want to see that. And then I also have this little pencil case with some friction highlighters, and the Paper Mate Inkjoy ink pen and a pencil. Now, I do try to keep things simple, but I'm going to let you in on a little secret. I am a pen hoarder. I love ink pens, and I know this looks really simple, but secretly I have a huge stash of ink pens in my bedroom where my desk and everything is. So I love ink pens. If there's new ones, I'm going to buy them. So that's just how it is. So I will grab all of that, and the other thing I use is my iPad, but you can't see that because that's what I'm filming on. So I'll gather all those things up. I'll start with the teacher's guide, and I'll go through the lessons. What I like to do is just take a few lessons at a time, because if you try to plan a whole bunch at one time, you're going to get burnt out and you're not going to enjoy the process, and I want to enjoy it. So I do take just a few lessons at a time, and I start with Google Classroom. So let's get into that. All right, guys, now that I have my curriculum, which for us is Gather Around Homeschool, now I'm going to take that unit and I'm going to sit down and use Google Classroom. And you're probably wondering, why in the world are you using Google Classroom? Couldn't you just write this stuff down? And yes, I could. First off, I use Google Classroom because it keeps everything I need in one place. Last year, I would be scrambling around trying to find videos, trying to find search engines that were appropriate or that my son could use. And it was a mess, because while I was trying to help him do that, I would lose him, he would get bored, and it was hard to get him back on track. The second reason is I'm familiar with Google Classroom. It's pretty easy to use and set up, and I think anyone can use it. So if you notice here, I do have all of my topics on the side. You just hit create, and you can create a topic, and then from there you can create the assignments. I do have mine listed as human body as the topic, but that could be whatever your curriculum or lesson or whatever you're doing, you put the title. And then where I have all these lessons listed, you could name those by days, you could name those by whatever you want to, because this is up to you. You create this for you. So if you're learning about fractions, you could name one of these where I have lesson 1, you could name that fractions. But let me show you what it looks like. So for human body, this is it. So if I go into edit, you're going to see where you can put the title. You can put instructions if you want your kids to actually take this and do something with it. I just have it here so that I can load in videos, all those kind of things, so they're at our fingertips. No more scrambling from me. So if you click on add, you can add things from Google Drive, from a link, from a file, or from YouTube. So you can just put them right in there, whatever you need. You can put it right in there to use. And as you can see for this day, it was the location of the Garden of Eden, a build-a-body activity, and how to draw a boy for kids because we were working on silhouettes. And it's just that simple, and all I have to do is hit save. So you just want to make sure your kids are included in the classroom. If you don't want to send it to their devices, you can access this stuff from right here. So like if I click on lesson 3, and I don't care to send this to my son, if I click on how your bones and skeletons work, it's going to take me directly to YouTube to watch that video. So that's what I really love about it. Let me show you North America. So North America is our next unit. I do like to sit down ahead of time and do this. This is something you could do weekly, you could do daily, whatever you want to do. But for me, it works better to sit down when I first get the unit and go ahead and plan this out. So I already have it. I don't try to plan the unit all at one time. I take about 5 lessons a day, find everything I need for those 5 lessons, and then the next day I'll come back and do the next 5 because I don't want to get burnt out on it. I want to stay excited about it. So this is what my North America looks like, and it's going to look a little bit different because I did have to include some research pages. So you can see on here for lesson 11, we needed an alligator facts for kids, and then we're learning a song, and I have the song lyrics. If I click on this facts for kids, it's going to take my child to the page I specifically want him to use. He's not going to end up on some site that isn't appropriate for him or a site that's too hard for him to understand. This is exactly what he needs to go along with our unit. And it's as simple as closing it out, and then I can close this as well just by hitting the X. And this is the same for all of the lessons. And I just take it and add what I want to. Here's lesson 15 if we want to look at it. So I put a bird call on there because we're talking about that bird. I have a lesson from Bill Nye the Science Guy, and then baseball facts for kids. So you can put in whatever you need to for your lessons. And what is so great is it's all right here in one place, and you are not scrambling the day of. So yeah, this does take some upfront planning on your part, and if you don't get to it, that's okay. It's still there. So you can put things from Pinterest if you have craft ideas, experiment ideas, recipes, whatever it is, you can put this into Google Classroom, and there's no more scrambling around on the day of. So just a little bit of planning up front will have you set for the entire unit or the entire year if you want to go that far. So that's why I wanted to show you Google Classroom. If you're interested in a tutorial on how to do it, I would be glad to make a quick video. Just let me know in the comments. So now I want to show you what I do after I've used Google Classroom. So I go into my teacher guide, and you can do this again for any curriculum. We use Gather Round. But I go into the teacher's guide, and it includes a lot of reading. And that's just something my son cannot sit through. He zones out. He cannot sit through it. And I want to make it meaningful for him. I want him to enjoy it. So I go in, usually on Fridays or Saturdays, and I sit down and break up the lessons. And this is where I'll pull up my Google Classroom to see what I put in there. I'll also have his notebook close by so that I can see what his activities are. And I just start to break it up. Nothing fancy, and I'll show you. Got my trusty pencil. I just look and see what all we can read and where a good break would be. So I would read all of that page. I'm going to stop here, and we did a bone scavenger hunt. So it gives his brain a break from listening to me read. He gets to get up and move around. Now, every break is not like that, and you'll see that as we keep going. So after the bone scavenger hunt, we would read all of this here, all the way to here. And then this says symbolism, in case you can't see it. I just write it in pencil because that's what I used to plan. So what we would have done is this is a page in his notebook. So we're getting some of the notebook finished because we were reading all of this and then going to the notebook, and he was getting a little frustrated. So I started pulling in some of the notebooking pages after we read so that when we're done reading, we don't have a lot left to do. So we stopped and did a page in our student notebook, and then we keep reading some more all the way to here. And when we got here, we watched the YouTube video. And the great thing is it was in my Google Classroom, so I knew that I already had it, and I could just put it right there to remind myself, hey, when I finish reading this, let's watch that video. And this is what I do for all of our lessons. And I'll show you one more example. I did this here, so we read about joints and muscles, and when we got here, we watched this video. So sometimes the videos are already included, and sometimes I have to find my own, but that's totally okay. It's a good way to break this up. Then we just kept reading, and we complete the Latin root page. Or we keep reading, and we watch how your muscles work. And then what happens is because we've broken it up so much, when we get done, we're able to just go straight to the notebook and get finished up. So this is some planning that I do have to do beforehand that just makes our days go a little bit smoother. So if you have some kiddos that can't sit through those long stretches of reading, see if you can throw in some activities and break that reading up. And you will need to do this ahead of time so you'll be prepared for those breaks or for those activities. All right, guys, so it's the end of our homeschool day, and I want to show you what it looks like when I reverse plan, because I've learned just through my experience that planning ahead just stresses me out, and checking off boxes stresses me out. And so what works best for me is to just wait until the end of the day and then record what we do. So this is the part that happens at the end of every single day. I sit down and do this. So I just open up my planner to our homeschool calendar, and I go ahead and highlight that we had a day in school. So I do this every day, and these are the friction highlighters. They work really, really good, just like the friction pens. So I come and do that, and this may seem a little redundant, but my son does like to see the countdown of days. We have to go 180 days. So I go ahead and mark off our day in school. And then I come to my curriculum trackers. And this is just something I made up myself. I had seen someone else use one, and I thought that is a brilliant idea. That's a great way for me to see exactly what we've done. So if I'm looking at the calendar, I can see, oh, we're right on track for these 6 weeks, or we really need to speed up our read aloud so that we get finished within the 6 weeks. I can really see where we are at any given time. My son can see, I can see, and it's just a good reference for me. So today we did lesson 9 in our Gather Round Homeschool, and you can do these curriculum trackers for any curriculum. I've seen people do them for all kinds of curriculums. You don't just have to do them for unit studies. You can take all of your curriculums and make a tracker like this. This was simply made in PowerPoint. He did lesson 12 for teaching textbooks. And in our read aloud, we read chapter 14. So as we get closer to the end of the 6 weeks, I can just take a look at this checklist and see, oh, I really need to speed up, or we're right on track. So it's just a great way to check out and see where we are. And I made one for every 6 weeks because we're going to do our school terms this year, 6 weeks on, 1 week off. So I have one for all the 6 weeks. And then I also have one for our mini units that we do, and we just take those one lesson a week, so that's why there's not much colored off on this chart. The other thing that I do at the end of the day, just for myself. Now, I live in a state that does not require me to turn anything in, so this is just for me, and I will store it at the end of the year with all of his units that he completes. This will be put in here. I made this for myself with the checkoff list at the top so I can make sure that I'm hitting the read aloud, that I'm hitting Brave Writer, that I'm hitting Total Twins, and I'm not forgetting things. So at the end of the day, I do go back in and fill in the days. So these are past weeks, so you can see what a week looks like. As you can see, Fridays we are very relaxed. I get him to complete a math lesson. We do a little oral narration, and that is it. We take Fridays pretty easily around here. So this was our first week. Our second week looks pretty much the same. except we did have co-op. And then this is the week that we're on right now. At first, I do write the week in pencil. Just in case something was to come up, I like to have it in pencil first, but I'll go back over it at the end. And then I use, right now I'm loving these Paper Mate Ink Joys. I'm a pen lover, so this will probably change throughout the year, but right now this is what I use. And I just check off that we did our read aloud, that we did Tuttle Twins today, Brave Rider, and that way it just shows me, hey, tomorrow's Thursday, we gotta make sure we hit that elective, and we've gotta make sure we do Brave Rider again. Or it just lets me know what we got to and what we didn't that week. And then I will go in and fill this in. And the way that I do that is I just open up my son's book to what he did today. So if you're using Gather Round, you could totally do this. So I would just go through each page, and I'm not gonna make you sit through all of it, but like this is notebook on breathing. So we're learning about the words. We're not learning about words, we're learning about the lungs and breathing. So I would just, right here at science, I would put notebooking, breathing. And then history, which was the next thing. We talked about the London fog and air pollution. And I just keep flipping through. So here for language arts, we did poetry. So I would make sure that I put poetry in here, and I don't get like super specific about what we do. It's just a quick glance at this is what we got done today. So we also did some art. He drew favorite smell. So he drew all the things that he loved smelling, since we're talking about breathing and smells and all that good stuff. And so we don't hit all of this every day. We just hit what we do, and I go and fill it in. And that way I'm not stressed out having to check boxes. It's just a recount of our day. If we do anything extra, if he looks up anything extra, I'll write it in down here at the bottom. That way it's just a good record to look back on. So this is how I handle my week. I'm going to go in right now and finish up the rest of this, but this is how I handle reverse planning or planning from behind, where you just live your life and have your school day, and then you go right in and you write down everything that you did for that day or that week. I want to thank Abby from Rooted in Rest and Jessica from the Wall.Way once again for hosting this open collaboration. I think it's going to be a great thing for the homeschool community here on YouTube. Remember, you can participate too. You can add your video to the playlist. That's going to be linked down below in the description box, along with participation info, so you know what's going on and when you need to post your next video and all that good stuff. And as always, thank you so much for watching.